All right, so now we're going to be going into one of our favorite ones, Pulsechain. Quite frankly, Pulsechain, I would say, is probably just about the best out there. It's definitely my favorite. The UI looks great. It's a lot of fun to adventure around in. So and there's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of money to be made right now. I know a tracker, like we got brand new everything, brand new L1, brand new dexes, everything. So it's it's about to pop off. We got some big ones coming up. So Jeff, let's go ahead and have a look into what we're doing over here. The first one that we're going to be looking at, right, is going to be PulseX. PulseX is the main swapping unit, right? It's a decentralized swap. It's really good. Reminds me quite a bit of Uniswap, right? The nice thing about it, though, is we actually have a lot of liquidity farms in here as well, which they're working pretty good. Obviously, when it first came out, our LPs were a heck of a lot more. We were able to get a lot more done, not have to risk as much impermanent loss. The funny thing was, there's two sides to the Hex ecosystem, right? Because the new L1 came out, which is a direct fork of Ethereum. What ended up happening was that we ended up with everything on Ethereum side, but then we got copies over to the Pulsechain side, right? And so Pulsechain became the largest airdrop of all time on crypto. And so here's the thing: if you go over to the finished farms, you'll see something really interesting where it's actually you've got you have to unclick staked. There you go. Now, if you see this, you got Hex from Ethereum and Hex, right? Hex is the actual ones that are on the Pulsechain network versus Hex from Ethereum, which is, quite frankly, is, you could just say it's wrapped, right? And what was funny was that as soon as that started happening, everybody got into that farm and started emergency unstaking all of their Hex to try and get into that. It didn't really make too much sense to keep it going. And so basically Richard Hart said, okay, no, we're not going to do that. We're done with this, no more. And he just put it into a finish section. Like, yeah, you can put your coins in there and provide liquidity if you want to. And I really find it funny that there's still $294,500 still in these farms. People, take your money out. What are you doing? It's not doing anything in there. There's no rewards for them. So, I mean, if you want to provide liquidity in those, you can. I wouldn't suggest it, though. You're not getting any rewards.
Oh, it's even worse than that, Nate. It's worse than that, actually.
Oh, boy.
Because I was messing around with this the other day. So, for example, click on Pepe and Pulse LP farm. This one, there's a reason why you can't pull this money out. When you try to extract your coins out of these LP farms that have low liquidity, it won't let you take them out. They're gone. Go over to, well, I don't want to detrack this. Do you want to move forward on everything else and we can come back to what I'm going to dive into at the end? So you can kind of go over the LP farms, or
Well, let's just start with Pulse X, and we'll move on from there. I
let's do
think,
that. Okay.
yeah, let's go ahead and dive into what you're about to talk about there. I think this is important for people to understand. Let's keep it into one sort of area, right?
Okay. Go up to the ellipsis next to the urn, those three dots next to urn all the way in the top left-hand corner of your screen. Click on those, go down to info. This is personally, I think, I'm not gonna say this is a bug. It's something that people need to be aware of because it really irritated me. You can wait for these to load or just click on the pools tab. Yeah, it takes a second for these to load. There you go. Go down to that one I was talking about, Pepe, and just tab over till you find it. Let's see here. Keep going. Pepe LP, click on that. Keep in mind, this pool is already finished. It's done, right? You shouldn't be able to add to it. Click on add liquidity button right there. You can still add liquidity to this farm even though it's already finished. Now, why would they? That needs to be stopped. You see this? So you can add liquidity to this and people can keep adding it to, even though these LPs are done, they're in the finish column. You're not earning anything. They're done, but you can add to them. Now the downside is if you add to this and then try to pull your coins back out, you're going to get a warning saying that this will fail because there's a slippage monitor they put into place that won't allow you to do it. So basically, because of the controls in place, your money is now tied up in these LPs. You can't get them out. I don't know if this is something that Richard Hard and them are aware of, and they're going to try to address this. But yeah, you can't pull your money out. We've had a few people get burned on this. So
the transaction will actually go through?
No, it will not go. Well, yeah, to add liquidity, yes, you can absolutely. I did it. I proved it about a week ago. I actually took some money and added it. So yeah, we'll let you add it. You can get in the LP farm, earn nothing, and then when you try to pull it out of the liquidity, you go through the whole interface, and it gets down to the end where you hit, yep, I agree, and it pops up. You click MetaMask, and it will fail because it will say that the slippage is too much, and the slippage is too much because the fact that there's hardly any coins. There's not enough money in the it's locked up currently in that LP farm. So yeah, it's definitely a bug. I don't know if you want to call it a bug. I want to say a bug. I think it's a feature that needs to be disabled, not to allow people to add liquidity to farms that are done. And
yeah, I would agree with that. That's what, in fact, that's what Reaper does. Reaper, they have that whole thing where it literally, here, actually keep going with it. I'm going to actually show that.
Okay. So they need to disable the add liquidity button for any LP farms that are still out there that are finished. That's the first thing they need to do. Just simply disable that button, and that stops the bleeding right away. And then the other thing they need to do is figure out how to allow people to pull your coins out if the farm is finished. But if there's very extreme low liquidity, you can't do it. You'll get an error warning. And because of that error threshold of slippage is in place, it's almost there to act to protect you, but in reality, it also blocks you from taking your coins out. So FYI. So the rule is very simple here for everybody who's doing liquidity farming. You go to the earn tab, you go to farms, and you stay here. You don't go into the pools. You don't see what else is out there because this is going to show you what's live currently. You just apply to what's here live, and you can add liquidity here. Because these are the safe ones. They're all still active. You can see all of them have really high liquidity. They're all like 10 million plus, all of them. So you have stable LPs here. Good solid coins. We talked about the stable coins. I was in these when they first started, and I was able to earn quite a bit here. These were a lot higher. These were at 4 figures when they first got out. They were up in like 1,500, 1,800% APR. And I jumped into the stable coins for about a few weeks, and I was able to earn a ton of incentive token. That's when incentive token was up in the $60 to $50 range. And then it was dropping as I was in there, but I was still making so much incentive token. I was taking it out daily, swapping it into stable and building up a stable bag. And then as Pulse and other coins started coming down in value, it was funny. It was like I was DCA into Pulse. Like, for example, if you looked at, I don't know, let's just pick one here. There used to be one here that was, here you go. DAI. No, not that one. I'm sorry. Yeah, DAI from Ethereum and
DAI and Pulse, right?
Yeah, I was in this one, and it was like so high that I didn't care about impermanent loss. I was still earning so much because the APR was so high. But as Pulse was going down in value, because of impermanent loss, it was forcing me to be DCAing into more Pulse in that liquidity farm. It was doing it for me essentially, right? So I was building up my Pulse bag as the value of Pulse was going down. It was DCing in, and I was earning the incentive token going into stable coins. So as I got to a certain point, when I saw Pulse get down to a certain threshold, I went ahead and yanked out all my funds out of the LP pool, swapped everything back into Pulse, which allowed me to take what I had left in my stable DAI, buy Pulse lower, take the incentive token that I had moved into a stable coin and swap that into Pulse, picking everything up, on a very, very cheap on Pulse. And I was DCing in as it was dropping. So stable coin LPs do serve a purpose. You just don't want to be in them if the market starts to be going to a bull run. You don't want to be in a stable coin. If you're going into a bear market or you're just trying to hold your certain values, they're good to be in because it's gonna automatically almost DCA into your coin that you do like as the market goes lower. So it's got a strategy. You just got to know when to use them is really what I'm trying to
Yeah,
suggest.
and here's the other thing about it too. Okay, so that's about the stable coins, right? So now you've got the other problem. The other problem is going to be incentive token, right? It's the incentive tokens in general when it comes to any of these farming type DAOs, right? So
LP farms, yep.
my bad. Yep. So ultimately here, when you're looking at this, right, people always look at these farms, or sorry, these tokens in these farms as though they're always down and just red candles for days, right? That's not always the truth, because as soon as all the other coins are going to go up, these incentive coins are also going to be going up, right? So it as soon as you're looking at, say, like the incentive impulse, right, or incentive impulse X, those are some pretty nice APRs on that one. You know what?
I'm in them.
In
I'm in them
in
both.
my theory, well, 100, you know, and in my theory, as we start going into a bull run, right, everything is going to go up. So is the incentive token, right? So at this point in time, I think that you could really be getting a lot of X's while also farming and receiving more of them all over, basically multi compounding, if you know what I mean, right? And so I think it'd be smart to get into these. Now, obviously, I don't believe in the incentive token, right? And nearly as much as I do, let's say, like Hex or like Pulse X, Pulse. So therefore, I'm not going to have nearly as much money into, or liquid into those, as I am in the Pulse X, you know, all them, right? But I would get into one of these farms, maybe throw like $100 of each, right, into each of these farms. These are 50/50s, by the way. Okay, so you know, $100 of incentive token, $100 of Pulse X or whatever, or Pulse, whichever one you want. Yeah, and I would say it would be definitely worth it, just adding a little bit to the top, right?
I certainly would agree with that. And I keep going back with this comparison. I can see the incentive token being similar to the VELO token, which is the incentive token on Velodrome.
Yeah.
Velodrome, which that price on that has held up very well. Now, why is that? Well, it's because they take their incentive token and they add it to some of the more very attractive, you know, high APR LP farms. So if Richard Hart were to take his incentive token and maybe provide an opportunity to maybe doing single-sided staking with the incentive token, just like the Velodrome token does, or if they take the incentive token like they are doing it right here, putting it into the juicy APRs, then that incentive token means people are going to hold it because they're staking it. So that's going to prop the value up or hold the value up. And if you look at the incentive token, it's been decimated from where it was. Now, when it first came out, I was collecting it and I was dumping it immediately because I already knew what was going to happen. I knew people were going to be dumping. So I started immediately dumping it right out of the gate. And the Velodrome token, the same exact thing happened. And they all do the same thing. They have this massive quick spike run up in the first week or two because people are gaining the token. And if people start to realize they're collecting it, now they'll start dumping it because they see this is free money. I'm going to go ahead and swap it into things that I want to own, which is fine. But then you also see it start to stabilize because so it really comes down to how when I say Richard Hart is going to decide how to use this incentive token. I don't see Richard Hart coming up creating something just to create it. He's going to have his own niche. They're thinking of ways to use these coins.
Well, somebody discovered in the
they're gonna
coding. Sorry, Track, I didn't mean to cut you off. Somebody
No, go
discovered
ahead.
in the coding for the ink token that it's going to give you like DAO voting rights for Pulse X or something along those lines. I can't remember what it was exactly.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. So to add on, Tracker, if you're looking at, let's say, Spooky Swap, right? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add on Boo, right? Boo was one of those tokens. It does very well. Boo has done very well. Same thing with Beats. The exact same thing. It's all about voting rights. You know, all these extra things. When we're talking about Thana, right? And you were going over exactly what the whole voting and all that, and it's kind of like we don't agree with it, we agree with it because it's basically just whales controlling everything. Well, that's how you get the money in. You know, that's how you get the money in. And ultimately, I think Ink is at its infancy right now, right? And when you're looking at the actual chart, right, it just goes down.
Click
right?
on the link that yeah, exactly. But now click on that. keep this there. Now click on the chart that I just sent you, which is the price value of the VELO token, which is Velodrome's incentive token. And you're going
Let's
to
see
see
the
the
loads.
same. You're going to see the same thing. Yeah, it'll load for you. It's going to go to back to the infant stage. Look at this. Look at that massive just
Oh,
now. That was
shit.
now this was probably just the setup of the site. But immediately you saw the drop. You saw the leveling off. Then you saw another spike. Then you saw another level off. Now zoom on out and look at the entire chart, or move to the right more. And yeah, take that big wick off. Just scroll till you get that thing
Yeah,
off
we
your
can check.
chart.
Yeah, not bad.
And then you're going to see how it has started to find its footing. See how it's kind of had that another spike and it leveled off, and then it spiked again a few times. And this was when we were running up at the beginning of the year when you had those big spikes, but it was jumping around on you. Now here it is leveling off, going back up again because it's still being tied to these high APRs. I can totally see the incentive token doing the same thing. It's going to catch people napping. It is.
It really is. It really is. And you know what? Personally, like, oh wait, what am I doing here? That's on Jeff's side. Personally, right? When I'm looking at the incentive token, when you say it's going to catch people napping, I 100% think that is correct, because too many people are like, oh, it's forever going down. I hear it all the time. It's forever going down. Well, sorry, but it's really not. Because, I mean, if you just looked at Velodrome right there, there's so many things that this token can do, right? But it's not doing them yet. And so you need to buy up a good bag right now. Don't sit there and yeet all your money into it. Of course, not financial advice, right? But like, personally, I'm going to be putting a nice bag in there, and I'm going to be just farming along on its lows. And as soon as it starts going up, I'm going to take out my rewards, and I'm going to be doing pretty good, So yeah, that's kind of my plan with that. And it sounds like you got the same plan there, Tracker.
I'm going to keep yielding. I sold all my incentive. I'll go back to the price chart of incentive token though. And I'll explain to you why I dumped it. Cause like I said, I knew on all these LP, the incentive token always dumps right out of the gate. I know we're going to get into DeFi Kingdoms. We're going to get out. That's the same freaking pattern. You have these massive run-ups like you did. I got into the LP farmings right around that second week, or right around during the peak, because that's when I swapped over from Pulse to start buying up and getting into the heavy LP stable coins. So essentially, I just got lucky. I'm not saying I did anything special. I just got lucky. I swapped half of my Pulse coins for a stable coin at the peak of the Pulse value. And then, so that locked in gains on my Pulse and allowed me to stake my LP. And then what that allowed me to do was get here at the top of the incentive token. Once I'm starting to earn the incentive token, I was dumping it all the way down. Probably 2 times a day, I was taking my incentive token and swapping it into a stable coin as it was dropping in value the entire time. Not right there. It was like right around towards the peak, the first big red candle drop, right here. From here over, I started collecting it when it was around $60 a coin, and then I was gaining it like that whole going into the. I think I was collecting it when it was in the 20s, all the way down. And it was in the 20s. I just kept collecting it and swapping it every day because I knew that was going to happen. That move I know was a smart move because people were thinking the same thing. I'm going to dump the incentive token. Don't need to keep this and that. Now that that's out of the way, Nate, like you're talking about. Now it's down in these depressed, area. This fight could it go lower? Absolutely, it can go lower. But now I'm not going to dump my incentive tokens. I'm going to keep I'm just going to keep gaining them and holding on to them, because if you're going to run out of sellers on the incentive token. And if you have people in the AP pools that are high and attractive like that, they're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to take those incentive tokens. They're going to swap half of it into the coin that they're in, buy it, and then restake. And that's basically reapothecating their earns, going right back into that pool with those high ones.
Yeah, and
that's probably what most people are going to be doing.
Most likely, yeah. And like, you're right. Great minds think alike. The first thing that I ended up going to was the farms. And see, here's what I did though, right? So I threw it into a stable, right? Because we were looking at it was like 1,000 APR, right? And that was really good. And it was USDC and then Pulsechain, right? So I did those two at 1,000 APR, and I let it go for a week at the very beginning. Look at what happened during that week. This right here is literally day 6. And that's when I pulled it out, and I went and I bought, what did I buy? I think I bought more P-Hex, if I remember correctly. So yeah, no, it was a hell of a play, man. But again, same exact thing as you, Tracker. I knew that this was going to be a thing. You want to get those high APRs really quickly, you know? So.
Hey, so got a quick question for you guys regarding the incentive token. When it is dished out to all the guys who are in these liquidity pools for the V1 swaps and everything, where does it come from? Does it come from a massive pool?
Yeah, it comes from a massive pool that you go jumping in. It's called the ocean. I think we lost Will. Are you
Shit.
there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you. We heard what you said. You basically said, where does the incentive token come from, basically?
Yeah.
You want to take that one, Nate?
I didn't quite hear the entire question. My bad. Actually, could you take that, Tracker? Because I got something on my end.
So the way I perceive is the incentive tokens coming to us through you're earning it. It's the yield that you're earning on being rewarded for tying up your liquidity. So as people burn Pulse, as people trade and swap things on PulseX and lock up LP, it's the reward that you're getting for tying up value into it. So it's coming out of essentially a pool. So it is inflationary token, right? It's inflationary, but the key here is it's still till very, very early, meaning I came up with a little chart here the other day just to try to figure out, the whole sea creature, stages. But the incentive token currently, if you looked at it on Pulsechain, there's only 5 million incentive tokens. That's it. There ain't many. Now, is that number going to probably grow? Yes. Is that it? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't have an answer for you. So I'll blatantly say I don't know if that's the total of value it's over going to be, or if that number is going to keep growing. If you take the incentive token and you look at the address and you take that and you put it onto PulseX, you can see if that number's changed or not. But the incentive token is basically coming out of a pool, rewarding the people that have been staking and holding your LP there, and you're earning it. And then that's growing and being minted based off of like all these LP farms. You're getting it's a way for them to pay you back, and that gets scraped by the transaction fees and all this other stuff. Keep in mind, Pulse and PulseX are getting burnt during transactions, right? Every time you do a swap, those coins are getting burnt, the transaction fees. And this is essentially rolling into the incentive token to give people rewards. I think it's another area we'd have to dive into deeper to really get the niche and understand all the connections so people can understand how is something coming out of nothing, but it's really not coming out of nothing. And really what's happening is it's coming out of the rewards from all the fees. So instead of getting paid back in Pulse and PulseX that are getting burnt, you're actually getting rewarded the incentive token from what's getting burnt. So it's being basically transitioned into the incentive token.
It's a cycle ultimately, you know?
It's a cycle.
Yeah,
so thus Pulse and PulseX. Sorry,
I was just going to say, I suppose my long-term question is like, since people are being rewarded for it and the more liquidity people put into the pools, the higher the amount of incentive token that is like released to the public. Like, is it, I imagine that it's not, like the pool doesn't run out or something. Like, is there more of it coming? Okay. Yeah, that's what I guess was my ultimate question.
Yeah, it won't. And then I can tell you right now, like you said with the voting rights, it's a DAO. So you're going to earn, if you have more incentive you have, there's functionality there. I can now vote on things. I can collect the higher APRs pairs by using it. So they're going to creating and more incentives for it. And I guarantee I could see them coming out with single-sided staking for the incentive token too. That as well as PulseX. I can totally see that coming.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be a thing. Man, incentive token is so slept on. It's ridiculous. Here's what I think is going on. I think that Richard Hart is purposely leaving incentive as a sleeper because I think he wants to see who really believes in it. Richard Hart has this weird thing about if you believe in the project, if you believe in the coin, then you'll see how it works. And the thing that I tend to see from him a lot is that he'll sit there all the time and he'll be like, okay, here, yeah, the thing is working, but it's not exactly all that good. And then a lot of people are like, oh, this is annoying, fuck this, and then they leave, right? But then there are some people who are like, oh, I'm all in. I'm eating all my money in. You know, I believe in this project. Then all of a sudden he's like, okay, flip all the switches, bam, and all of a sudden it's like one of the greatest things out there. You know, he did this with Hex. I can tell you right now, he's going to be doing it with Pulsechain, right? With Pulsechain. Like, there's a lot of different things that it just seems like this is his pattern. You know, he sits there and says it's like his marketing strategy, right? Oh, it's the best thing ever. Everybody gets into it. There's a lot of immediate money. And then all of a sudden they're like, everyone's like, oh, I'm disappointed by it. And then he's like, okay, turn on all the good stuff now. And then everyone's like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever.
He's playing coy right now. He's not
Yeah.
streaming. He's putting out these random tweets just to see, you know, how people are responding. We want to shake out the weak hands, and that's what he's doing. But Boo was another one that did well when it first came out, and it dropped immediately right out of the gate. It pumped up hard. It was at $25, and it plunged back down within, let me see here, it came out in May time, right around end of April, ran up to $25, May 21st. That was the end of the bull market. Came all the way back down in June, July, but then it spiked all the way back up and got as high as almost $40 a coin. And then, of course, it tanked like the rest of the market. Velodrome, same thing. So I keep seeing this reoccurring pattern with the incentive tokens. So it's going to have its day in this, and it's every coin in the ecosystem, the Pulse, PulseX, Hex, you see, they're all going to have their day to shine. It's just, you got to be a little patient. You got to pick it when nobody likes it. And that's the idea. Like PulseX is hated right now. It's getting no love. Ratio trades right now to PulseX, but bottom line is the incentive token is definitely going to be one there, and you're seeing it play out right in front of you by having the highest APRs. Yeah, the stable coins are there because they want to tie people up into locking up stables into the ecosystem. But yeah, incentive token, if PulseX ends up making it out over the next year or two, which I certainly believe it will, the incentive token is going to have its day, and you're going to have a run up with it with the rest of the market, and you're going to be earning it for free right now at these high APRs. If anything, the only thing I'd be debating about right now is, do I want to just keep holding, building up a bag of incentive token and keep holding it and then swap it at some point when the price is nice and high? Or do I want to go ahead and repothecate it back into the LP that I'm currently in with to keep building up my rewards that way? It's a tough dilemma to be in. I don't know. I don't really have an answer for you. And each person has to choose their own path on that one.
Well, I mean, like,
Yeah,
it's a tool that you can use to get goals accomplished. We don't necessarily know what's going to be the best future use case, but those are two very good decisions that you can make. Well, I guess we'll find out if they're good to make, whether you rehypothecate it or hodl it or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. Like, one's basically doing dynamic DCA or DCA out. The other one is just repothecating every time you just rotate it in. But yeah, that's a good way to put it. They're just great tools.
So I want to touch on something that you had mentioned earlier that I'd never thought about when it comes to DCAing using a liquidity pool as a mechanism during the bear market. That's something I hadn't really understood or thought about until today when you had mentioned it. Like, if you have a liquidity position with a stable coin against an asset that you believe in long term, but that for the short term is going down, then that's essentially a mechanism that you can use to DCA into that item while still earning yield as the price goes down. So like you were saying earlier, only good during a bear market when people are selling, they're giving you their whatever good asset is in exchange for the stable coins that you provide. I had never thought of that before, so that was an eye-opening thing as far as stable coin yielding goes. And with those crazy high yield percentages that there was available at the very beginning, it sounds like you made out very well using that decision-making process and those other tools that were made available to you. So that's a good thing to know, and a good thing for other fellow folks who are like me and relatively new to the whole liquidity space.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as when I got in, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I have the Boo chart up right now. I want you to look at this, right? This is a really big deal. So you've got this, right? This is where it started. Doesn't that look familiar, right? And then all of a sudden it went down all the way here like this, right? You're 100% correct. Where do you think we're going from here? Like, look at this. Bam. And then look at all-time highs and everything. Do you see like how much money you can make off of this? And then of course, you know, the next bear comes along and here we are, right? So this is a perfect example, I would say, into any incentive token of any kind, exactly what a good one does. And the incentive token on PulseX just started. It started in the bear, okay? It started in the bear. Where do you think we're about to head to? You know, this is a really big deal. And personally, when I'm looking at this, right, even when you look at like say Boo started up here in like $25 and all that, and its ultimate top was in the 30s, but it kind of like averaged out right around in the 20s, right? So, and this is after hitting its bottom low at $3. You made a lot of money by simply believing in the fucking token, buying it up down here, right? And then watch this thing take off during the bull. I think it's really going to do that. This is a sleeper, you know, and I would highly suggest getting a bag of this because it'll probably do pretty well.
Or match up into the LP one you like. Like if you like Pulse, like personally, I like Pulse over PulseX. I mean, I think that right now is given just because it's the L1. So you can get into that LP farm, Pulse and the incentive token, get into that. You're basically holding half your Pulse and you're holding half incentive token and you're earning the incentive token. And you're out there and right now you're at this bottom. Yeah, could we go lower? Sure, we could, but we're at the bottom area here where this is the time to load up into it. And then, like you said, as we run up, there's your opportunity to start either. You got a lot of options now. Do you keep the LP farm going? Or is one starting to run away with the other one? So you might want to pull out of the LP because you want to try to avoid impermanent loss, or the APRs has gone down too low, so it's not worth the risk reward. There's all these different levers you got to kind of check and monitor. And I think you have to watch this crazy close, but I'd say at least once a week you need to kind of monitor it. And depending on how much is in the liquidity, if it's very low liquidity, you need to be monitoring that thing every day.
Yeah.
You need to monitor it every single day because it hits to a certain threshold, you need to get out. But these are massive. These are huge LP pulls for individual LPs. So you should be fine there long term. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think so. So this is PulseX, right? We covered this. I truly like it. It's a really good system. Absolutely love it. The Pulsechain system in general. It's all part of the Hex system and all that. But let's go ahead. Let's move on into Chirp Finance. Since you're talking about low liquidity,
Nate, real quick, man. Just so before we close out on this one, just like the other LPs we showed, go to the trade button. Just want to show everybody the UI real quick. The trade button. This is how you'd swap your tokens, like everybody, like all the other ones. But now, can you show them the bridge URL to use, because this doesn't have a bridge on the actual site. So the question might be is how do I bridge my tokens into Pulsechain?
Oh yes. So
hold up, Nate, you want me to do it?
Yeah, you go ahead. Get to it. I don't know if you have it in quick or not, but
I didn't. Give me a second.
All right, because I know, when it comes to bridging, a lot of people can get just a little bit scared over that, right? Ultimately, they're just, it's like, well, what am I actually doing with it, you know? And then the other thing, one of the problems with bridging that I've come to find is that usually what ends up happening with bridging is people don't understand that you need to be on the chain that you're bridging from, right? So here's the way. Okay, awesome. So here's the way that I think about bridging, right? The way that I think about bridging is kind of like you got two islands, right? And it's a literal bridge from one island to the next, right? Now, when you're on Ethereum and you're trying to get to Pulsechain, all right? This is the example, okay? This is the Ethereum island, okay? Now you have to bridge and move over to the Pulsechain island. Your wallet has to be on this island for you to actually be able to move anything to this island, right? Because you move. So one of the mistakes that people end up making is they're on Pulsechain and they're like, oh, I can't move my Ethereum into Pulsechain. It's like, well, get to the Ethereum island first, right? Get there first. Move it in your wallet. I mean, I don't know if you have your wallet in there, but yeah, like you need to be able to go up. And so when you're looking at the bridge right here, right? What are you on the Ethereum network currently?
Oh, yeah,
so
right now I have it going from Ethereum to Pulsechain.
Okay, so when you go into your wallet, right?
You need Jeff to bring up his MetaMask dummy wallet to kind of show the example.
Yeah.
Yet?
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. All right, hold on.
Pay attention.
I'm sitting here staring at the screen like, all right, what's next?
Okay, well, go up to your wallet, all right? And then, yeah, go into your MetaMask and then show switching the networks, because that's the number one thing that people get really confused on.
So the cool thing about this is, give me a second. This will actually switch it for you. When you just hit right here, it automatically pulls up MetaMask for you to switch the network. Is it showing that on your end?
Oh, yes, it did. Yes, it did
Yeah.
right there.
Boom, swap.
That is
So
really
look,
cool.
right here.
So that's definitely not the normal way of doing things,
Yeah.
for sure. But
Can you
yeah,
show the MetaMask? Can you show MetaMask just to show people the UI of MetaMask and how you switch your? I mean, it's kind of like one-on-one, but for some people, they may not know how to do that.
Sure. But so
Yeah.
real quick before we
Invite
switch,
people now.
boom, right here. It's from what you're going to, what you have, to what you want to switch to. So okay, boom. We have Ethereum. We want to switch to Ethereum, or we have USDC. It's any coin on the Ethereum network. Boom, you hit it, whatever it is. You hit send. Then after you've done your transaction, you can actually go to transactions here, and it'll have a little menu, and it'll say claimed, not claim, but claimed ED past tense when it's able for you to claim on the other side. So let me pull up MetaMask. Hold on.
While you do that, it's important. That's the part where people get nervous about, because you'll bridge it and you're sitting there and you're waiting and the coins have not appeared yet on the other side. I've had it. I mean, when Pulsechain first launched, it was taking anywhere between 4 and 5 days to show up. It was a while because the bridge was congested. Now, I swapped it the other day and I still had to wait. It still was like 7 hours or something for it to actually
What?
appear. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. It was
that's
something
actually
odd.
it's because he's swapping millions and millions of dollars worth of stuff
I-
over here.
I
Cracker.
get
No. I wish it was that problem. No.
My average right now is about 15 minutes. That's what
Uh,
I'm getting.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
generally
weird.
minutes.
Yeah, normally it is a few minutes now, but even like when on Phantom, when I used it to bridges and others, it's not common to sometimes during congestion or high activity. You can wait sometimes up to an hour, 2 hours. Is not necessarily uncommon. So just don't freak out. If you see it where Jeff showed you the transactions, as long as you see it there, you're good. You're just gonna have to be patient. That's all it is.
Yeah, a lot of people. I remember right when Pulse launched, a lot of people, they did a test transaction. At first, they would send like 100 hex, EHEX, and right when it went through, they're like, "Oh shit, I could swap one EHEX for 3 PHEX. Let me hurry up and bridge another one more over." But then you were screwed because it took so long. So I did the same thing. I did a test transaction, but before the rest even came through, I'm like, you know what? I fuck it. I took like 90% of my fucking EHEX, bridged it over, because everybody was complaining that it was going to take forever. It was getting congested. So I just, YOLO, and it actually went through. I was able to do some pretty good ratio trading, but I'm not gonna lie, I was extremely nervous before I got to see it in the wallet.
Yeah, but
Okay,
you're taking
so
that massive risk enabled like some, and that just kind of, I won't be long here. That just kind of hammers down on the point that sometimes taking crazy risks pays off real fucking well, and sometimes, I mean, this didn't happen to you, but sometimes taking a risk gets you fucked. It's just like
Correct.
those who step into the cold dark water, might. Well, I don't know where I'm going with that analogy, but it worked out real good. Is the bottom line?
When you step into the cold dark water and you get cold and dark.
Yeah, you accidentally step on some diamonds and you find some treasure, or you get eaten by a shark. One of the two.
What we're trying to say is just understand your appetite for risk, basically.
Correct.
That and what
Yes.
and if the return on investment isn't that good, then the risk isn't worth it. So what's that ROI?
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, so here we are in MetaMask, right? If you go up to your account, right? Okay, sweet. You got that? Awesome. And then to the left, you have, bam, the networks. And this is where you go and add networks, right? So right there is Pulsechain. So if he clicks on that, right, he's going to be going straight to Pulsechain. Now, yes, obviously you got to click on the add network. Generally, like let's say for whatever reason, you have no idea, how to add anything. Literally just type it in, right? Let's say I'm trying to find the Polygon mainnet, which actually they do kind of automatically give you that one. But for whatever reason, let's just say you're going for it, right? Oh, how do I find it, right? What do I type into the manually add network, right? Okay, so what you would do is you would actually just go to Google and say like Polygon network. How do I add to MetaMask? And they literally have a step-by-step with all the things that you need to be able to put into place. If you just click on add network manually, let's go ahead and show people that. Okay, so yeah, the network name, you're gonna need the RPC URL, the chain ID, all that though. This will all be given to you if you do exactly as I said there and just go Google it. Be very specific, right? Like, hey, Pulsechain network, right? The Ethereum network, the Polygon network. Like, just do that and be like, how do I add to MetaMask? And they'll bring all this stuff up for you, and you can literally copy and paste it into there, and you'll be set to go. So
some of the networks like Pulsechain.com, literally at the very top, there's a button that says add Pulsechain to MetaMask. You just click it and hit approve, and it adds the whole network also.
Yes, and though I like it. I like that that's a new trend nowadays. That hasn't really been a thing before, but it's becoming a new trend. Thank God. It makes it so much easier. I'm not even gonna lie. Another thing too is if you go ahead and go back to the bridge, right? If we can get ourselves back to the bridge here.
I'm there. I think you have to go to the other share screen.
Oh.
Or is it not there? Did I end it? Oh, yeah, I probably ended it to share this one. Hold on.
So, okay, yeah. So he's going to share that screen, but yep, going back to the bridge, ultimately what ends up happening is by switching those networks and everything, it's going to switch it for you. So this isn't just the Pulse bridge alone. Pulse bridge is what you're going to use for Pulse, getting into Pulse chain. This is for any bridge you're using. So you're going to want to start. Remember, you got two islands. Okay, you're going to want to start on one side, and then you're going to have another one, right? You got to have that bridge that goes over. So if you're starting on a place, if your coins are on Ethereum network, make sure you're on the Ethereum island, okay? And then you'll move them over. So you have to be on that island first and able to move them, okay? Otherwise, you're just looking at them from a different island, and it's not going to bridge. So, yep, important information right there. Let's go ahead and put this back on. And then, yeah, because he is on Ethereum network, it goes from Ethereum down to Pulse chain, right? All right. So that is bridging. And then from there, we're going to go into Chirp Financial, right? Now, the thing about Chirp Finance is that we just found this as we were looking around on some new stuff, right? Ultimately, what we end up doing, well, here's something that Tracker was talking about that is vitally important. Watch your total volume locked, right? Watch how much actual volume of money is on a certain chain, right? So if you come over here, let's see. Bam.
Well,
There
just
we
to be
go.
clear, hey, Nate, just to be clear, I wouldn't say on the chain. I would say how much total value locked is on these sites. So each one of these is, all of these sites have a Pulse chain network that they can connect to, but how much total volume do they actually have locked on their sites? That's more or less what, when you're seeing that TVL, that's how much, that's what we're looking at, is how much is on these sites, because that's going to tell you how legitimate they are or degenerate they are based on how much they have. That's all.
Yeah, we got the $2 one right here. Let's go. Oh, my bad. There we go. We got the $1.02 one. Yeah, this is definitely one you want to throw your money in, right? No, we do not. That is a bad idea. So here's what we're looking at, right? So we got PulseX. Clearly, PulseX is in the lead, right? But then we got Fux over here. We're gonna get to Fux here in a second. I love it. It's one of my favorites. Absolutely adore it. It reminds me quite a bit of Beethoven X. It's, again, I absolutely love it. But here's one that we were looking at. So Chirp isn't even at 1 million yet, right? However, I've been seeing it popping up in the rounds, and it seems to be pretty popular. It's doing pretty good. It is going up. You know, it's moving up percentage wise as far as total volume locked is in there. So let's go ahead and go over to it, right? When we go over to this, bam, here we are. And so the neat thing about this, right, is obviously the first place we're going to want to go is farms and or pools, right? We got the pools, we got the farms. Let's go over to the farms. I think the farms are going to be going to be the overall way to go. All right. So now, obviously, what if anybody who has been listening to this, what's the first thing we do? Jeff, can you answer that one for me?
Ask the question one more time, please. What was the first thing you do? I'm gonna guess set the APR.
Set for the APR, 100%. You get 10 billion points.
10 billion.
So,
what? Ink tokens?
Nope. We're do you want
10
ink? Like,
billion
I'll give
pats
them
on the
to you.
back.
If you want to give me 10 million ink, I'll take it right now.
Oh boy, here we go. This guy.
I get half. I'll take half of it.
We will
Sharing
be
for
in
everybody.
charge of the whole DAO.
All right, so if you look at this, this is crazy. We got 3,000 APR going on over here. This is some pretty crazy stuff, man. Like, that is a lot. Now, I want to point something out for everybody to understand. The liquidity in it. Look, so this one is actually pretty good. Well, I mean, comparatively, right? We're getting somewhere. Okay, we're getting somewhere here. And look, actually, this is not a bad deal. I might jump into this one. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I might. Well, anyways, here, look at this. Chirp, 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 chirp. Oh, here we go. Die pulse. Right? Now, notice all the APRs stop being absolutely ridiculous as soon as chirp is not in there. What was that you were talking about, Tracker? About the specific incentive token always being put into the highest APRs. Why did they do that again?
Because they want people to come to their site so that they can accumulate the incentive token and pump it up. And that's why it's in the highest APRs. Wow, imagine that. It seems to be a reoccurring theme on every site we go to.
Yeah, so everybody who's kind of following us around now in this whole series is you got some ticks going on here, like you're getting light bulbs. So you kind of see what we're seeing, right? Chirp is brand new. It seems to be the hot new thing. I'm looking at this and I'm like, you know what? I kind of like it. USDC, I really don't want that, but here's the deal. And this is what you were talking about, Tracker. Look at how much APR you have there. This is going to be a short, at least for now, a short-term type of deal. Throw the money in, get it out. This is what I would call the strategy of APR chasing, right? APR chasing is dangerous, but it can work out for you in a brand new project like this one. So do you want to go a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah, you want to be basically, you can jump in and look at it across all these different ecosystems. You can just constantly be checking which LP farms just came out. And if you can jump into them, it basically is that rule. You want to be one of the first people in, but you also want to be one of some of the first people out because you don't know how long these are going to sit. If people get out quickly on you and you're stuck in there, you may not be able to get your coins out, and then they're tied up and locked up. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
No, I don't. You sure? Okay, so this is something I've always wondered. So I'm sure the fine people at Chirp Finance are awesome people, but how do you determine? Okay, I don't want to tie up all my coins on this site in case they rug themselves. Is that possible?
There's once you add the liquidity on these farms on any site you go to, they have your coins.
That's my point. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is why you're getting paid. So think about what's going on here. If you really take a step back on all these liquidity farms, why are they doing this? Why are they giving these high APRs? Because they want liquidity to come into these sites, stake their coins here. The more coins and more financing they have on these sites, the more they can bring more mass adoption to their sites. And it gets more activity going on, which they earn in fees, which they give back a cut to the people who are staking yield farming. So it's like everything else in the world. I mean, it's all a Ponzi, right? Meaning, as long as the people are piling into it, as long as the liquidity staying on these sites, everybody's happy. But as soon as people start to yank coins off of these sites, that's when you can start to have a domino effect. So you got to be careful. But going back to the strategy of jumping into these APRs and chasing them, like Nate was alluding to, you can get into these high APRs, go after some of them. I certainly wouldn't put a massive portfolio of your portfolio in them, but you can definitely go into them. earn some good money for maybe a few to 3 to 4 weeks, whatever you feel confident, watching those liquidity values. If the liquidity start to drop to a certain threshold, you need to get the heck out. Like 53,000 seems to be towards the higher end. That looks like the best, or at least right now while I'm looking at the page, one of the best APR to liquidity ratios that you're finding. Now that could dry up within a day. So if you're in here, you better be watching this thing at least every day, or every 2 times a day, to make sure nothing funky is going on. Like all of a sudden you see 53 drop down to half of that, down to like 24 all of a sudden. Then you might want to say, okay, it's time to get out of this thing. So you got to be careful on that. Now that's what I wanted to go look at, was the chirp token. I bet you this thing is run up. I'm just going to take a wild guess. Yep. See that run up? So you got to be careful here.
You're like psychic or something. Wow.
So it came out on the 4th. At least this is when Deck Screener started tracking it. So it came up and you got this nice pump up going up from, gosh, what was it? I mean, even if you got in on the 3rd day or so, or 2nd day, you could have got in around, what is that, 10 cents, 15, 14 cents, something like that. And you could have ran it up to 13 at 30. That's a 2x right there. And then you're getting this pullback. Now, the question is, you're seeing the same thing happen with the incentive token on Pulse and all the other incentive tokens we looked at. Pump up, dump. So eventually, if this site sticks around, you're going to get a point where you'd want to probably start to accumulate or get into the LPs for these, if you believe in the project, right? So the question is going to be, is it going to survive? That's the first thing, big thing. And you'll know if it's going to survive or not by going to by DeFi Llama to keep monitoring that total value locked. If you go to Chirp Finance on DeFi Llama, they give you a nice graphical representation of how much total value locked is. Is it going up or is it going down? Currently, it's towards the peak right now of how much the total locked. It's had a slight little dip, but click on DeFi Llama right there. Click on DeFi Llama and go back there. And I click on Chirp Finance. And then take a look at the chart. There it is. So you can see how it's pumped up. Now the question is it going to really dry up and go down, or is it going to kind of hang around there or keep working its way up? This is your canary in the coal mine to watch your sites.
No, that's really well put. Yeah, man. This is actually, it's very interesting because what we're giving you right now is quite literally like almost live viewpoint on what it is that we do when we go searching for liquidity pairs, right? Here's the thing that I'm looking at, and I want you guys to really take a look at this, right? So for almost every single time that we have some kind of incentive token, it generally starts at one spot, pumps the hell up, and then drops through the floor. The thing though, it drops to the floor. Look, it's always dropping to the floor, right? And then where's Chirp almost, right? Hey, it's almost at that floor. So I would almost say, hey, once you hit like maybe 2.5 cents, right? I might buy some, or even buying right now. If you buy right now, it's still a good price, right? Go ahead, come over here, throw it into here, right? And yeah, like you got, well, APR chasing, right? But this is kind of just a quick live example of one of the strategies that we're going to be going over. It'll be a few videos from now. We're going to just introduce everybody here to the actual ecosystems first, and then we're going to go over very specific details in how to do each strategy, what it is you're going to do, right? And there's a lot of knowledge that we're giving you out for free. So if you haven't liked and subscribed this video, I don't know what you're doing with your life. We all love you, and I hope that you'll show your love to us as well. Go ahead, just give us a like, a comment, and yeah, tell us what it is that you think about just these whole strategies and what it is we're doing here.
And I'll tell you right now, to add to Nate, just to add to that, I know that not a lot of people are diving into all these different ecosystems and sharing all this. The ones that are typically charging you for this stuff, which we don't have a problem showing it with everybody, because you know what? We're learning. We're just giving back some of the wealth and knowledge that we've learned, and that's just how the community works. But going back to what you're saying on Chirp, personally, it's interesting. So Chirp's already pulled back quite a bit, right? So you could get back into one of these LP farms with one of these tokens you really like. Keep in mind, I'm new to the Chirp. I haven't been in Chirp. It's just all the same similarities, all the LP farms. If this site ends up working out, you could get into one of these LP farms, get Chirp Hex, Chirp Pulse, Pulsechain, whatever you want. And if Chirp keeps going down, it goes back to what we talked about with the stablecoin. If Chirp goes down, you're going to earn more Chirp than you will Pulsechain, because you're going to go into permanent loss. You'll go bleed into Chirp. So that is something you keep in mind about, but your APRs are so freaking high. That's the other thing. So if chirp ends up holding value or finding stable floor somewhere, you're going to end up doing really well with it. It's just the big risk here is this is why you're getting these monster APRs, because you're taking on this massive risk. Is chirp
Risk
going
reward.
to survive? I'm not saying it will or won't. I'm just saying that that's why you're getting such high incentives, because what Nate was saying, those low liquidity farms, the liquidity is low. The APRs are very high because there's not a lot of people piled into the pools yet. But the more people that do pile into them, the APRs will drop over time. So that's something else. I don't know if we really touched on much, but that's something else to consider.
And here's the other thing I want to point out. But taking history, right, and then looking at what it is that chirp might possibly do. Here's where with the similarities that we're kind of seeing with chirp, because it's brand new to me as well. You're literally getting this live. Like, we only started looking at this today, and we're already getting all this information out of this, and to the point where like we're about to go jump in it ourselves, right? Tracker's right. You don't get this for free. You have to pay people for this knowledge. Like, we're out here trying to help people. So yeah, join our Telegram. Hey, you get this stuff for free, man. For
That's
real.
the cost. Join our
Yeah, that is the
Telegram.
cost. You have to click a button. Be a part of the
Cost is
I mean,
friendship and advertising, and one ETH later if you like us.
I would like to add to. I would love to add to that too. We really are doing this for free. There is not a dime we're getting out of any of this. Now, we're pumping all this knowledge out to try to sharp. What we're getting out of it is here's what I'm personally getting out of it, and I think the others might agree or not, but it's helping us refine and sharpen our skills, because when you explain stuff to people, it helps. Do you really know the material, or it starts alarms go off? So yeah, maybe I need to touch on that a little bit more. I'm not 100% positive that I know what I'm talking about right there. So that's the part that I'm personally getting out of it. Down the line, could we start to charge for things in the future? Sure, but right now we're not even thinking like that. We're just thinking about honing in our skills and trying to spread the love and give that knowledge back to people.
That's good.
Another good thing, if I could touch on that, as far as the
Yeah.
whole monetary aspect, is when I started meeting a bunch of y'all. When I got new to this, had a million questions, and people like you, Nate, Jay, other people who always never hesitated for a split second to help. So I think what y'all get out of this, y'all just enjoy it. Or I do. I enjoy it. I actually literally have fun doing it. I look forward to us doing the show just to do it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I agree with that, Jeff. Like, one thing that I ended up learning was I was always frustrated as all hell, and I was always lone wolfing everything, right? I'm running around like, hey, I got to do this, got to do that, but I'm not going to pay somebody for information, right? I'm just going to go get it for free on YouTube or whatever. And there's a lot of bad information out there. What I found is that if you pay for that information, you legitimately end up making sure that you get the good information. That always made me angry. And so, like, when we're here doing this, I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm trying to help out everybody here, right? Trying to help you guys out, because you don't necessarily need to go pay for somebody, right? Like $1,000, when it's like, hey, you help us, right? Join a Telegram, help sharpen our skills by giving us questions, right? That's what we want. Pay us in that, right? And then in exchange, we're going to give you knowledge, so that way you can get rich. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. Heading back over here, though, something that I really wanted to point out. Okay, so looking at chirp, you kind of see the beginning area, right? If you look, it looks like Boo actually went below this floor line, right? It didn't go way too far
It'll
below
go
it, though,
lower.
but it's still good,
Yeah.
right?
Chirp will
So
go lower. Chirp will
yeah,
go
exactly.
lower.
But here's the thing. Let's pretend like you did get into here and you started APYing or APRing these numbers, right?
It's a lot.
With Boo.
That's a lot.
You sit there, and even though you're still going down, eventually, because Boo is a good project, right? You start going up, and oh my God, you think about just think about how much money you got. A golden cow right here, chicken that lays the golden eggs, right? Literally right here. Look at this. It's like, oh, I bought in here. I started APRing, yielding off of it. It went down. I'm poor. It was a bad choice, and then all of a sudden, here it comes. Oh my God, I'm rich,
Hey,
right?
Nate, go back to Boo and look at the current value of what it's at today. Like, I mean, it's nowhere where it was, but what I'm saying, which is hilarious. Look at today. It's been up the last 2 days while the market's tanking. No, I get it. That's the bear market. That's just what
That's
happens
the
in the bear
bear.
market. But zoom in to what it's done since the last few weeks. And my theory on this is you're starting to see some of these LP coins going back into heavy favor, meaning because they are
See this,
doing
Rick?
things. Yeah, well, not just that. I mean, you're looking at kind of just what happened since June, how it's
Up,
made this
up.
crazy move all of a sudden. And today it's up. It's up substantially today. I mean, it's had a big pump today, and the overall market's tanking. And Oath is doing the same thing. So there's something going on in the Phantom ecosystem that's definitely causing some pumps there. It's interesting to look at. I don't know how to describe it, but it's pretty interesting to say the least.
Even someone who's not good with charts like me, like I ain't anywhere near where like Jay or Josh is at, right, when it comes to charts. But I can tell you right now, this is a lot of fun looking at like, hey, look, there's my money. You know, I love it. You know, and then I look at this, right? And here's what I see. I see this, only we're gonna copy and paste it over here for the next bull run, right? That's ultimately what's going to end up happening.
If
This here is going to come over
Yeah.
here. You're buying down here,
Yeah, the
right?
key here is if the
Yeah.
things survive,
Yeah.
if things survive. And that's what I'm saying with Chirp. It's so brand new. The problem that Chirp's going up against is, you know, if you take a little bit and throw it at Chirp and you're to LPs, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm really considering it now. Take 500. I mean, for me, I might take 500, throw it into one of these LPs, keep accumulating during this time, and kind of just walk away and forget about it until at least for another, you know, month or two, or watch those LP and watch the liquidity. If it dries up, obviously move it out, but basically move it around and get into these high APRs. So snatching a bunch of this APR, and then you could do it for maybe 2-3 weeks if you wanted to, as short as that, and then take out of the LP. And now you've already got all this Chirp coins and just sit on it and wait for the move. If it moves, if it doesn't go up, it's okay. You've taken a risk to accumulate a coin that may or may not go up, but if it does, you make out substantially if it goes up. Yet you've already pulled your coins off the LP, so your risk is over. Now you're just sitting on dry powder or the house's money, basically.
Yeah. No, it's, man, it is such a good deal going here. So, all right, well, that's Chirp though. This is something that we really wanted to point out, right? So like here's the pools.
Now the pools are single-sided staking.
I was going to say, yeah, these are
So
singles.
check it out. You could do LP farming, claim your Chirp daily, and then stick it into the pools and earn 782% on your Chirp while you're compounding into this.
Wait, hold on. What's that die? What's the APR on the die for single-sided?
271. Wow, they are really looking for liquidity.
That's
because
single-sided?
yes, they're trying to bring in as much as they possibly can. They're trying to bring in as much as they can
It's brand new.
New sites, brand new sites like this on a brand new chain.
They get people? Sure.
Yeah,
exactly.
You have to do that. You have to, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, this is. Oh my God, I'd be so quick to get at least like a big amount of money in there. 20,000, I would say, if I was like a millionaire, right? Yeah, I'd dump 20,000 in easy.
Yeah, that's just passive income, baby.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. And see, that's the thing that's scary though, because once you start getting that idea of like, hey, I'm just gonna jump around to all these new projects and dump some money in there. Yeah, you get burned bad. Think about what Billy did, right? Billy went into one of these that were like this, and he forgot to make a test transaction. Instead, he just dumped it all in there, and he couldn't get the money back out.
Sure, and when you got all this stuff going on, you're excited that could happen. You know, you forget to check.
But what happened to Billy though? He got caught in what I showed you guys earlier. He got into one of those pools that was already dead, and he couldn't get the liquidity out. He got locked up on him.
That's what it was.
Yep. I'm pretty sure it was. I talked to Billy about it, and that's what he said.
I thought it was active. Okay.
Well, it may have been active, then it switched to inactive, and it could have been, which is even worse. But I don't think it was. I think he got into the pool. He saw the high APRs, and those high APRs on Pulsechain are gonna look high because no one's in them because they're deactivated. So you're gonna like, oh, this looks good. Let me dump some money in here, and then you can't get it out because there's not enough liquidity to get out.
Just like you said, risk versus reward. You know, risk appetite. That's why. So for Pulsechain, the only website, the only DEX I am currently on is Pulsechain. That's the only thing I'm yielding on. I know Nate likes fucks a lot and Pulsechain, but just I know Richard is not going to fuck over his own project. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Correct.
100.
Correct.
Talk about fuxing though.
Talk about foxes.
Jeff,
Go
can you
ahead.
pull up bucks for us?
Yeah, I can, buddy. I like so that is that's basically looks like a clone of what's it called? Why am I coming up with blanks here?
Beethoven, Beethoven X.
Beethoven, but what did Beethoven even? Was it Beethoven? Shit, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, Beethoven was its own thing, I think. There was, I mean, Velodrome and Beethoven X look very similar on how their stuff looks. But to me, I think it's funny is the when you looked at Chirp just a minute ago, that looked like they took the same UI off of Pulse X.
It was very similar.
Yeah.
Okay,
Literally.
let me end sharing the screen right here.
So here's the cool thing about. All right, so let's go ahead and get into Fux here, and
I got it right here, buddy.
all
What's
right,
up?
we'll go ahead and swap this over. Bam, there we go. Fux. I fucked with Fux.
They have a lot of good pools. I really like this quad pool, and I really like the Alex Hedron Maxi pool. Those are two pools I like. So if you believe in the ink token, which I know y'all do, the RH Maxi is a good one. They have a lot of good ones.
Somebody's
they're
gotta
really
explain
good.
to me how the APRs work though. I don't get how there's a range there.
That was gonna be my first question.
That is a good question. Here's the funny thing is, as far as I can tell, Buck basically just took kind of what the averaged out of, what is it, liquidity actually locked up in the pools along with activity. I think what they've done is they've got a
Click on one of the pools.
calculator. They've got a calculator on it.
Let's go with quad. I like quad.
Fux Harem, that's hilarious as hell. Oh no, Fux Farm, that's what it was.
So what is the current, like, how do you know what the current APR is? To me, that range might tell you what it's been ranging between, because based on how much liquidity is tied up in it, which that makes sense to me. But what I don't know is what's the current APR. So if you were to stake right now, what would be the APR?
Yeah, they don't say that. They only say what the range is. And I find that very strange. This is the one thing that's got me kind of like, what the hell is going on here? You know, but
the range, if it truly is the range where it is, meaning the minimum based on its history would be 51%, and then the maximum has been 123, then okay, cool. I like that, but it doesn't really tell me
I need
where
a current.
There's got to be an explanation somewhere.
Yeah, because think about it. If you're picking between two different dexes to yield farm, and you want to know what you're getting if they're very, very close. If one says 50% and one says 45 to 80%, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you're kind of like, well, I mean, what am I going to do? But here's kind of the thing that I was looking at. At this point, and I was running to this on Phantom Chain a lot, ecosystem a lot, is I would prefer to have the safety of kind of like, here's the range. I can sort of like stake it and forget it, right? That's one of the things that I was looking at. Because again, you know, my strategy specifically is I usually don't have a lot of time because I'm working so much to start bouncing around all over the place. This chirp play is one I want to do, but it's going to be a little bit more risky for me than it would be for like Tracker, right?
Yeah.
I mean, quite frankly, when we're looking at that, it's like, for me, I have to let it sit. So if I put in the chirp, I'm probably gonna be letting it sit. I don't know, like a week, maybe. Well, I could check it like maybe after work every single day. I bet you I could do that. But at the same time, there's a good chunk of time during the day where something bad could happen. When I'm asleep, I wake up and then I go to work and then I get back and I'm like, oh shit, what happened, right? And then I got caught with my pants down. So for me, like that can be a problem, you know?
Yeah, I was checking Pulsechain every day. Every day. My farms.
I just started one, boys. Chirp Pulse. We'll see how it goes.
Chirp Pulse.
Hey,
all right.
this guy is right. And he's
we got to get it
of the week.
Hey guys,
Get right.
That's
We're gonna
awesome.
see.
Right now,
We're gonna
you
see
guys are
exactly
talking.
how bad
I'm
of a
already-
decision I'm making.
Can you get your coins out?
So what did you just get into?
Oh, can I?
I
You
just
did
did,
the pulse chirp.
Chirp Pulse.
I just did Chirp Pulse. Yeah.
What's the APR on that? Like 900%.
Which one is that on?
It was like
APR is
1100.
currently 1535. So it had a pretty high liquidity.
What's the liquidity, like
53,000.
20? Okay.
It's got 53.
53,000. Yeah, I was gonna do.
I wanted to get into it. I wanted to get into
I wanted to do Chirp USDC at first, but the liquidity is 25,000. Even though the APR is like twice as much, I do like there being twice as much liquidity. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I figure if I'm
wouldn't
gonna
do-
gamble, I'll gamble semi-safely.
I don't like doing any. Honestly, this is me. I don't like doing any stable yield farming right now. Single sided, sure, but not double sided like that.
Yep.
Personally, not now. I think we're towards the end of the bear. That's just me though.
Ooh, I've already earned 7 100ths of a single chirp.
Yeah.
So-
Good job. You are rich
Less-
now.
So question here
Less
is
than a
chirp is
tenth of a
question
penny.
guys, is chirp the only, is that the, that's what you're getting out of the pools or farms, everything is chirp, right?
It's
Yep.
got to be because for them.
All right, so check it out. Oh, sorry, go ahead guys, sorry.
No. I could be wrong with this, but I was literally, I think me and you might be on the same page. I was just having thoughts. How could they do that high APR? So they're going to have to pay out probably, and they probably have a shit ton of that chirp coin, and just I guess slowly with providing liquidity and people adding liquidity, that's how they pay it out.
It's inflationary. It's an
Also, they got
inflationary-
multipliers on the
Yeah,
side. I
it's-
don't know what
it's
the
gotta
fuck
be.
that means.
I don't
wonder
know
what these
either. Yeah,
multipliers-
I saw that. One of them said
I have
3x
multiplier
multiplier.
represents the amount of rewards you get on the farm.
Oh,
For
okay.
example, if you have a 1x farm was getting a 1 chirp per block, a 40x farm would be getting 40 chirp per block. So what's the term?
Okay.
So what's the term? I don't know what's the definition of a block though is the next question.
Yeah.
But here's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
all right, so here's my degen shit. I'm gonna go ahead and get into some degen shit that I'm already looking at while y'all were talking about this. So if I'm so if I'm already in an LP farm on Pulsechain, on Pulsex specifically, and I'm earning my incentive tokens, I can jump over, take these incentive tokens, and then stake it on over here on Chirp Finance on single-sided staking and go into incentive token and gain 366% on my incentive token. Am I taking any risk? I'm essentially risking to lose my
Your
incentive
free
token.
money, yeah.
If there was rug, but I'm playing with the house's money here.
House
So I can
money.
take that, stake that there, earn the chirp on incentive, and then feed the chirp into the chirp single-sided staking, and I've got an infinite loop of
money
just
printer.
compounding yield. So voila, there you go. You're welcome.
So Chirp had, yeah. See, that's fucking awesome. Chirp
See-
has a Pulsex one. I'm sorry. Ink farm.
Yeah, so you could get. I mean, I know we haven't got into this, Nate.
This is when we
Go
get
to
to
the
the
polls.
strategies
Show
episode,
the
we are
polls.
going to
Out
be
there.
just degenning the hell out of things.
Yeah.
This is why
we're going over
this is
all
why
the
we're
LP
introducing.
farms.
Yeah, this is why we're introducing the ecosystems first. We watch these episodes here, get to know what the ecosystems are, because once we start getting into the strategies, it's going to be like this, right? We're just going to be like going back and forth, we do this, do that, do that, and you need to be able to understand and know where we're going with this and what they are. So you watch these ones here to make sure that you understand what the ecosystems are, and then once we get to the very specific strategies in any ecosystem, right, you're going to be able to like, hey, I know it exactly, right? So yeah, all right, so let's go ahead, let's move into Fux over here, and we'll take a good look at this one. So what's really cool about Fux too is that we've got all the multi-stakes, right, or multi-pools. It's not just, 2 coins, it's not single-sided staking. This is multi-sided staking. There's a lot of different things we can do out here. Ultimately, when I'm seeing multi-sided staking, my first thought, quite literally, is, hey, these are coins I absolutely believe in, right? The quad pool, right? That one that you're right there, that quad pool is probably my #1 pool personally. I look at the coins in that one, I'm like, these are my long-term holds with everything.
If you like Ink, you gotta like this one.
Yes, the RH Maxi is another one. The one thing that I'm kind of mad at with that one is that there's both types of hex on there. I kind of wanted it to sit on just the Pulsechain side and not have, not have to deal with the wrapped hex. But it's like, you know what? Just let it be. Let it do its thing.
It's low volume. It's lower. It's a lower percentage of the pool.
Yeah, yes, it is, and that's something that I really specifically wanted to point out. When you're looking at the pool, right, you're looking at Ink at 5% versus your Pulse at 40%, right? Now, when you go into it, right, you don't have to. If you can connect your wallet right there, you don't have to actually put only 5% of Ink in there if you don't want to, right? So okay, so you see what he's doing there. He's got to switch it, bam, instantaneous. It's really helpful when they have this set up. I prefer it. It makes it so much easier. All right, so Yeah, so when you're looking at that, it says the weight is 40% pulse, right, to 5% ink. But if you go, let's say you're going to add liquidity, right? Go into adding liquidity. Let's go ahead and just pretend we're doing something here. So when we go in there, right, add liquidity. All right. Now, technically speaking, you don't have to put in, 20% p hex, right? So let's go ahead and do this by numbers, right? Let's put in five ink, and then let's proportion it all out from there. Okay. So 5 ink, 10 hex, right? 20 p hex, that type of stuff, right? And I almost forgot about that actually. So what they actually do is if you have 5 ink. All right, we don't have anything actually in here. So okay, okay, it's a dummy wallet. My bad. All right, so what happens is if you have the coin actually in there, it'll say proportional suggestion, right? Proportional suggestion will pop up on all these other coins. Now, what happens with that is it says, okay, so you put in this specific amount of p hex, right? Like let's say I put in 1,000,000 p hex, right? Okay, proportional, what we think is going to be 5% of the value of that million p hex, right? 10% e hex, proportional suggestion, that type of thing, right? I truly say that you're going to want to keep those proportions, right? Because when you go to pull them out, you're going to get those proportions. And so if you're putting in 90% ink, you're gonna get 5% of it back out. maybe that in the long run, maybe that helps out, especially if like all the other ones have more X's. Technically, you've won, but that is a whole nother game all of itself, and I would not suggest doing that. Try and make the best estimated guess that you can. That's kind of the long and short of it, right? So the best guesstimation that you can make is these percentages. Stick to the percentages. Put the money in that you have available for them. Ultimately, that's what we're going to be looking at, right? Bam. And so, yeah, you can put in a little bit more. To be truthful, when I put it in, I was a little bit skeptical on exactly as far as like X's go. I think ink is probably going to do the worst out of X's in total by the end. It's still going to pump like crazy. So don't get me wrong on that one. But I don't think it's going to be as much as Pulsex, and both hexes. I think those ones are going to pump more. So I actually threw more ink in just to overall get the total amount of money into it further up, So with that being said, and again, I believe in all of these coins very specifically. I'm going to hold these long term. When I put these in here, I put them in with the idea that I'm going to be holding it and it's just going to be sitting in there. Especially with the ranges, I believe they're going to do really well. So if we go back out, okay, if we go back out of there, you'll see that exit sign. Yeah, usually it's a back sign, but it's actually the X on the right side. Or you could do that too. That works.
I didn't even see the X. Wait, hold on. We're doing this X. Where's it at? And
So
Nate,
you go
I
on
wanted
the
to
right
add
side.
on as far as all these coins pumping. It's going to get to a point where there's so much liquidity bonded to all of them that they're going to pump pretty simultaneously, unless somebody comes in and does like a $10 million buy a Pulse or a $10 million buy a ink. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So
That's
all right,
why I like pools like this.
yeah, no, it's awesome. I love them. These are my favorite. I love fucks. I fucks with fucks.
What's the APR on this one? I know there was a range, but what's the low volume? If you want to be responsible, you have to go on what they're saying the guarantee is, because that's what you want.
Yeah, the minimum is 31%. The maximum is 77% currently. But you also have just about a 2% swap fees as well. So
Yeah.
Keep in mind, we don't know what that. Yeah, that's the only problem is we don't know what that means. That's the only thing I
Yeah.
don't really understand.
Yeah, that's the one thing. But you know what? Let's
Hover over that APR, that APR right there. Hover over those little 3 dots next to the APR. Go down with your cursor. Go down.
I'm lost. APR.
Go to the right.
Bounce.
Go to your right.
Gotcha.
Yep. What does that say right there?
We got 1.9% swap fees APR. So 1.9% of your yield will go to swap fees. 30.82 minimum stake. Okay, so they're guaranteeing 30.82 yield, and they're saying there's going to be 1.94 fees.
Yeah, the swap fees. You're getting 2% of your APR from the swap fees.
Oh,
you're going to
okay.
get 31% from the minimum staking, is what you're going to get. So the minimum staking would be 30. Well, it could be the other way around. You're saying too, though. So that's interesting. I don't know. But if you add it
Yeah.
up, that's the bottom pair. It's 32.76. So I'm just trying to figure that out on. I guess you could always do a test, a test stake and see where it's going on. But
you know what? You're right. You're right. The way you said it's right, because look, if you look up where it says total APR, the low range is 32.76. So when you add the 30 and the 1.94, it comes out to 32.76. So you're right. You're getting 1.94% of your yield through swap fees. You're right.
All right, cool. Which is actually cool because we were talking about this earlier. Like people were asking, where's your incentive token coming from? And this is how they're calculating it for you, how you're getting it. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very man. I'm really liking it. Like I said, there's a couple of mixes in here, but basically, I'm definitely seeing a very Beethoven-esque type of deal going through Fox right now. So with that being said, also the single-sided staking side. Okay, so if we go back to the pools, right? You've got this one pool called Flux and Pulse. It's the main pool. It's the number one pool. And if you're looking, I think my favorite thing is the names. I just absolutely love how that's your incentive, right? Your whole incentive thing. But yeah, you get Prime Flux from that. Okay, so Prime Flux is what's going to allow you. That's the incentive to that's the incentive to allow you to be able to purchase V Flux. And so Prime Flux into V Flux is going to turn.
Help it.
Yeah, no, it's I love this Fucks with this. Right, long fucks, short fucks. I don't know.
Help. Right when you said Prime Flux, I thought about Optimus Prime.
God
34
damn.
out there.
Hey, God hell. So this is the crypto space. We enjoy it. It's all about the memes, man. It's all about the memes. Like we enjoy the hell out of this stuff. This is why, like, nobody understands. Like none of these traditional people understand what is with this crypto thing and why there's so much money. They don't understand the humor. They don't understand the memes. They don't understand that this is all a part of what it is we're doing. We're out here making money, doing what those guys who are stressed out in the oh my God, the stock market, right? They're all stressed out like that, and we're over here fucking gaming and having fun, making the same kind of money, doing the same type of stuff. It's like this is the crypto space. This is why we are awesome, and why all these old geezers go into it going like, huh? And they just don't like it. It's a scam, right? They say that because it seems like a scam because everything's a joke. Everything's a joke, and we're out here having fun. So
it's a good time. So Nate, real quick, this one right here. And it says the bottom could get down to 2%. That's a little wild.
Oh, so that one there. This is the one and only that is, I believe it's actually held on that percentage amount. Yep, okay. It's held on it. So this is going to be the different one, right? So if you go over to the go up to where it says official or APR, whatever. Yep, and you can get that right there. Now read that one.
Same thing.
Yep. Oh, does it say? Oh, no, it does go to 2%. Wait a minute.
Yeah. So
that minimum, but that's also the swap fees. Yeah. I don't know, man. Max, because it doesn't say minimum. So, yeah, this is a little bit wonky the way they do this. This is something that is definitely different. We're gonna have to research into this a bit more for sure.
I wouldn't. Taking like $10 or $100, putting it in this just to see what happens. That way, it's an easy percentage. $100 if it goes to 173, well, you went up 73%.
Yeah, exactly. So we're definitely gonna have to do some monkeying around with this. I'll search around for exactly why the APRs are that way. But regardless, me personally, I am getting some good rewards. I've had quite a bit of money coming out, and I'm liking it. And I'm actually, you get Flux, the Flux token. You get the Flux token as an incentive reward, right? Same thing as every other place that we've been looking at, right? And then what I'm doing is I'm actually moving it into this Prime Flux, right? The Prime Flux is going, then by using the Prime Flux, I use that to buy V Flux, right? And you get the V Flux Jeff's over here just dying.
I'm having a great time.
Hey, that's what we got to do, man. So VFux, you purchase VFux by putting an LP pool into and getting Prime Fux, and then you lock up your Prime Fux to get the VFux, and that gives you all the voting power and all that stuff, you know, to do what you want. Again, though, that system is generally good for whales and all them. So, do I like the system? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm bullish enough on this project that I believe in them and I would like to be a part of them, you know? Same thing
Sure.
with like Beethoven X. And so, yeah, I fuck around with them on that one.
I fucks with them. No, I like,
fucks with
dude.
them.
I like this pool. This one, holy shit! All the higher percentages for what you provide liquidity is the tokens I like on the Pulsechain. P Hedron, P Hex are the high side.